When I first met Todd, we were doing a barely political scene, and they decided, because I joined Next New Networks, that they would allow me to slip into a cameo of the Batman series, right? You familiar with that? And so I didn't quite know that this bald guy who was just hanging around the set was even part of Next New Networks, much less that he was the boss of Batman, until I heard his accent. But fortunately, I was being kind to him anyway. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce a rarity on YouTube, which is somebody that has worked in professional medium and on stage doing comedy, but has translated that to online video. And if you can name 3 other people besides Mark Day that have done that, you will have my deep respect. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd.
Thank you. How about a hand for Nalty, huh? That was amazing. Worst, most inaccurate intro I've ever had in my whole life, but incredible. Incredible presentation. That was amazing, though, when Nalty came out. I first met him. He was just annoying me for 7 straight hours in our office, and I was like, who's this annoying guy? And I just heard him say all these smart things in marketing, and I was like, that annoying guy knows a lot of stuff about marketing. They should tell him not to be annoying and just more markety, because that's what people want. I want them to. And you left $1 up here. Is this yours, Nalty? Are you showing off how rich you are? Very well done. I'm going to try to plug this thing in. Oh, don't go, lady, you were nice, and you knew where the plugs go. I got it. I got it, everybody. It's under control. I got it under control. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to make this camera person work for their money. Huh? All you got to do is pull the focus out. Come on. Right? We all know that. Hi, everybody. My name is Todd Womack. I'm a comedian, and I work for Barely Political, and you've heard all about us today. And this is where you stand, everybody, when you're presenting. Okay? Not by the podium? No, come on, Nalts. Well, I got my speech over there. I'll have to go over there shortly. But they let me talk just because everybody's food is settling in their stomachs, and everybody's getting sleepy, and they know I'll just scream at everybody. Ben, what are you doing? This is my time.
You like the blue
No, it's fine.
tint?
Yeah, I do. Don't I look good in blue?
All right, be blue.
This guy trying to undermine my power all the time. He's my boss. Okay, I'm going to start off with some improv games, guys. Give me a location. Okay, great imagination there. Where did you think of that? Okay, Chicago. Okay, great. Now give me an occupation. I'm a gynecologist in Chicago. Thank you very much. That was improv. That took me 4 hours to think of. Thank you very much. I just want to touch on a couple things that we've heard from sort of Tom and Ben. Barely Political, so now everybody's like, why is it named that? And when you do Key of Awesome and all that, just think of it like this. Mark Douglas, our buddy, couldn't be here today, but he says this often. It's like the Utah Jazz, right? There's no longer any jazz in Utah, nor has there ever been, but we do have the Key of Awesome on Barely Political, and that's all you need to know. Okay. Moving on. That clears up nothing, I know. But we say I'll call our viewers the kids kind of as a little inside thing. We have a lot of viewers from all over the place and all different age ranges. We just tend to get letters from younger people because they have crayons and most older people just don't, I guess. But we do have a lot of viewers and blah, blah, blah. I work for them. You've heard all this crap stuff before, yada, yada. Mark and I come from the world of live comedy. So what I'm going to do is sort of tell you, and excuse me, I'm going to have to do a lot of reading off of this thing because I wrote this on the plane yesterday. I'm just kidding. I wrote it this morning. And now I'm going to do a lot of comparisons because on my channel I'm coming up as a partner, just like you guys. And on Barely Political, we have this huge operation that I'm a big part of. So I kind of have a unique viewpoint here, and I want to share with you guys what it was like for me to come up as a stand-up comedian, because there's so many things in common with you as, you know, for what it's like to come up as a YouTube partner. So I lived and worked primarily in that analog world of live comedy before, you know, becoming a pretty big part of the Barely Political channel. I lost myself already. Here we go. Blah, blah, blah. Did the microphone change throw you guys off? Is everybody still on board? Just trying to keep you awake, guys. I'm actually going to say nothing. I don't know anything is the problem. I don't know anything. Why are y'all looking at me? I don't know anything.
Right.
Okay. Your turn is over, Nalty. No, we're going to talk about hecklers later. And if you notice, I just destroyed him by not even being mean. Did you notice that? Boom. Wish there was $1 around here. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. So listen, I hope this is going to give you some valuable information. At the very least, it will allow me to talk about myself for about half an hour. And I think that we can all find that entertaining, right? Or 12 minutes, because I haven't done the speech before. We'll see. Okay. First of all, first thing I'd say is becoming a YouTuber. We hear that a lot, become a YouTuber. Don't do that. Don't become a YouTuber. Become good at something, and then put it on YouTube. And I think you guys know this already. Forgive me if things are something you already know that I say. But the way that I fell into being a YouTuber was being good at comedy. So YouTube wasn't around when I started doing stand-up because it was 150 years ago, and the country was on the verge of a civil war. Now, a lot of you guys probably won't remember that because you're too young for that, but it was a long time ago. Okay? Obviously, I'm not that old, but it was a long time ago when I started. And because there was nothing like YouTube, I was just going through, sort of in the mid-late 90s, I was going through exactly the same motions as a comedian from like the 70s or 80s, which is kind of amazing to think how much the jump is from the 90s to now, right? I mean, go to LA, join that community that Margaret pointed out is everywhere now. You can do it from this room if you wanted to. You know, go to LA, go to New York, get a big manager, get into the festivals, book commercials, the Apex, right? Hope you get on a TV or a movie, you know, and at least become good enough at stand-up comedy to tour around for money, which, as I was getting older, was becoming less and less appealing. So, and I love doing stand-up. I am principally a stand-up comedian. It's a lot like being a rodeo clown. Like, every time you get out there, it's a total adventure. You know, you show up, you put on your happy face, the crowd watches you dance around, hopefully there's some laughter, and occasionally, on the tough days, a bull puts his horns dead in your ass. You know? But I slogged all over the country and the world doing that, and for more than a decade. And if there was a crappy comedy club or comedy hole in your country or your town, I definitely did it. And ultimately, I didn't want to live like that anymore. So I started trying to get writing work for TV. And you know, there's all those gatekeepers, agents and managers and like douchey people of all sorts telling you terrible ideas about your good ideas and how that would sell and all these things, and you can't get in. And so I turned to, you know, sort of making videos. And the first thing I made was called Wild Man, and it was like a parody of like Bear Grylls, but like as soon as the camera went off, he's a total jerk and wanted to be a DJ in London and all this stuff. That was really successful as a property. I almost sold it as a TV show in the UK to the company that produced The Mighty Boosh, which is a really funny UK series on the BBC. And you know, that would have been like winning the lottery, but it turns out like 6 months later, it almost got through the end process, but they rejected it, which was a lot like losing the lottery, if you can imagine that. Not a lot of people get to experience that. But I showed it to my friend Mark Douglas, and he showed it to his boss, Ben. They put it on Barely Political, and it did pretty well. And then sooner than later, I was doing some voiceovers and freelance writing from LA, where I had moved to. And, this is the important part. Because I had spent so much time doing what I had loved to do, which was comedy, I didn't care about money, I didn't care about anything, I just would go and do it because it made me happy. Because I had spent so much time doing that, I was good at it. And even though I hadn't spent much time on YouTube or even making that many videos, I was ready to step into a situation where I would be able to get in front of as many people in one video, than I did in a decade of doing thousands and thousands of live comedy shows. Think about that statistic for a bit. It's unbelievable that that's possible. I mean, there's this thing in between TV and live stuff that's killing it. It's called YouTube. You guys should check it out. But I also happen to know Mark Douglas, right, who with band created The Key of Awesome, and Mark knew me. And we knew each other from collaborating, okay? And we did a lot of the same things, so it made sense. Now, before we get into collaborations, I'd like to note that while my personal journey brought me to YouTube through the back door, I do realize that many of you started using YouTube because you had an interest in doing something. And that interest has led you into a situation where you're looking at making money, or maybe you're already making a ton of money, focusing on that interest. But whichever door you use, I think the point is that getting good at something it's really not so hard when you love it or you find it interesting work. And I think you probably already know that, but just in case you're the one person who doesn't think that way, you start thinking that way because I said so. Okay, here we go. All it requires is some practice, right? So I knew Mark from doing comedy in New York, right? We used to collaborate. And back in those days, we used to call collaborating hanging out. Now, this involved just going to the same place and having a few beers and joking around. It was amazing. And I know it sounds like, you know, something that you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense in our digital world. It was what we were doing back then, and it was just crazy times, you know? But, you know, nobody does that anymore, but collabs seem pretty popular. And I honestly don't know much about strategy or statistically doing what collabs with whom gets you certain numbers and all that crap, because I became a comedian so I could wear shorts to work and not tie my shoes when I'm giving a presentation. Yeah! I don't get it. Yeah! They're actually paying me money to do this. Did you know that? It's not that much money, though. I'm not getting paid. I do know that collabs generally work pretty well if they're done well. And the YouTube Partner Playbook has a lot of, good little rundown how to be effective with collabs. And people like Naltz and other people have amazing things to say about that. But if you haven't already, I'd take a serious interest in working with somebody in this room. You know, nothing bonds people like struggling and coming up together. And let's face it, 99% of us in this room are still struggling and coming up together. And, you know, YouTube's so new that pretty much everybody's struggling on YouTube, you know. And, I mean, at least you guys are. I'm all set. But, I'm totally kidding. I'm not like that. But I would take a cautious approach with who you collab with. You know, think about the obvious things. Why are you guys doing it? Do you have a mutual reason for working together? Will either of your audiences be legitimately interested in each other's content? You know, I think our audiences notice when we're just doing it to get subs. And I don't think they like it. And you guys probably know that. But I think ultimately working together is so much easier than working against each other. You know, so I think try to do any collab. Try to do crossovers. If it doesn't work, then don't do that kind again, you know. I think the main thing is for this, if your heart's in the right place and you're not just trying to be greedy or devious, focusing on making good stuff, people are going to know that. And they're going to forgive you, even if it's not the greatest collab. The way you get good at stand-up and by making videos is doing it a ton, right? That's the only way. In comedy, you have open mics. In YouTube, we have other channels, right? In my case, Barely Political has 1.4 million subscribers. It's such a big operation that we take each video pretty seriously. And I can't just screw around by doing a silly character who washes dishes in the street to show tunes and you know, and post it. For that, I have a personal channel called Wombatron. And that has about, I don't know, 13,000 subs, which isn't the hugest number considering the machine that I work for. But it's my side project. My day project happens to be working at another channel. I was just going to talk about my channel. I do a lot of different stuff on there. You know, I'm attempting to go through the front door, just like you guys on my channel, right? I don't exactly have a tight plan yet for what I want on that channel. I keep trying out different things, and there's no penalty. I'll put a stand-up clip up. I did an unboxing video for a credit card offer that I thought was pretty funny. That's what I wanted to show you guys. And I was just like, whoa, Deb Walden, Executive Vice President, signed this. It's pretty good, but, you know, just, I did we'll do like sort of the extras from Barely Political stuff. We'll kind of like throw it on one of our channels if we have some extra stuff that we can't fit into one of our Barely Political videos. What else did I do that was pretty good? I did an episode from Puerto Rico where I acted like I was on the show Lost, but I was just mildly bummed out about it. I thought that was pretty good. I think I'll probably do some weird thing tomorrow in Chicago somewhere, because we're here an extra day, and if you guys want to collab, let me know. But basically, I use it to do any dumb video that I want, and my subs don't seem to mind because I'm trying, and I think it's funny, and so do they, right? So I think the takeaway here is don't get too locked into doing something you don't particularly want to spend a lot of time on, right? Because if you give yourself room to experiment, even if it's on a second channel, you know, for me at this point, I'm generally fine with putting time into something if it makes me laugh and I haven't really seen it done before. And I think it's okay if you haven't found what you want to spend your time doing. Because once you lock it down, as we all know, you're going to be spending a ton of time doing it, you know? And my channel's still a work in progress, but I'm really learning every day, just like you guys. And, you know, I'm up for answering questions and asking questions. So if you want to talk to me afterwards, I'm totally down. But mostly my videos, I think the thing that ties them together involves me talking, which I think we can all agree is fascinating, minus the technical snafus. Here's a couple things about writing. I write comedy for our channel, so I think this one's pretty straightforward. Make sure they have a structure. Like I find as a writer, now follow me pretty closely here if you can, it helps to write stuff down before you press record on the camera. It is a huge pain in the ass, you know, especially for us amazingly talented, hilarious, lazy people, right? But it's a necessary evil to have, I think, even an outline. And I read somewhere where Steve Martin said that it's very simple. Something he said that was very simple, but I liked very much. He said that everything he does comedically has a beginning, middle, and end. That's the simplest thing that you can say. But, I mean, he'd said it for jokes, beginning, middle, end. He does TV appearance, beginning, middle, end. You know, any bit or story he's trying to tell. And I think that's great advice for whatever kind of video you're making. Like have something good up front, keep it going in the middle, and sort of knock it out of the park by the end, right? But I'd actually like to hear from a few of you guys about structure, because I think having a formula, regardless if it's beginning, middle, end, or whatever, really cuts down a lot of time and work that you put into it. And if I don't get some examples, I'm going to activate the trapdoors in here. So you guys, who has a structure that we could talk about to their videos? Who has a good, like, little formula? Back there, sir.
Yeah, I do hosting of it. So, I do current events, so
Yeah, I knew I had seen you somewhere before.
yes, I do current events, so just like where I do Monday to Friday. And the night before, I pick up all my stories and choose what I want to write. And for a lot of them, I script out a lot of it because you can't get certain facts wrong. If I start bullcrapping and saying certain things, my audience will call me. So I make sure I write something out. I've got to the point where I'm so used to what I'm going to say with some of my inside jokes that I tend to ad-lib after I write it. But writing it for me keeps it at a reasonable level where I don't go too long, because I want, you know, in my mind I want the video to be 3 minutes less if possible. You know, I try to have so if I don't write it out, I tend to babble like I'm doing now, and it stretches out until this long crazy video.
Yeah, that's a good one. Who else? Does anybody have like a well-defined sort of structure that they, Christy? Carly? Well, you know, I have a lot of Facebook friends. I don't know what to tell you.
I have like 1 minute long outfit videos I do. I have like in the beginning I'll show a full picture of the outfit so if someone interested they can keep watching. And then I film like specific clips. I know exactly how many film like top, bottom, middle, and then I have them together like with programs and
So you basically have a template that you use.
same video, just different.
And do people get sick of that? Or does it, yeah, they're like, it's like a Pavlovian thing. They're like, now it's time for the part where I show the top, middle, and bottom. Right? Give them what they want. They want regularity. Give it to them. Thank you, Carly. So let's talk about editing real quick. I just have 2 more sections here. I'm glad that Tom Small over there edits all our videos because aside from being at a 1st grade level in Final Cut, I tend to love most of the great things that come out of my own mouth. And I learned really quickly, though, that what was best for the videos that we were doing was not all of my awesome jokes, but the entire flow, you know, the entire story. And now I'm okay with cutting a few jokes here and there for the sake of the entire flow of the story. And I think it is a lot like watching somebody cut off your pinky, but, you know, you hardly use your pinky, so it's fine. That was an awesome ringtone, by the way. Do you realize you're in a presentation? Oh, go ahead and get that. Get that booty phone. Let's see what that's about. I'm going to sum this up, but I think what happens a lot of time with vloggers is they go long because they love hearing themselves talk because they're editing themselves. You know, and I think that's one thing we really, really should look out for as YouTubers, because we end up editing ourselves a lot, is, you know, doing that. I think a good way to do it would be to, like, show it to somebody else that's not, you know, like your buddy, like the dude who's dating your mom or whatever, you know, like just show it to him. And when he zones out, because he's probably busy daydreaming about becoming a top NASCAR driver or whatever he thinks about, you know, like, just watch where he zones out and then silently gnash your teeth together because he's so dumb and you're so smart. Then go back and fix it because, you know, most people kind of have the same brain when it goes to looking at videos, you know, and getting lost and losing attention and all that stuff. Or you can just make Tom do it. I think he's available. He only works like 70 hours a week. This is my last thing. This is a little touchy-feely, but I want to talk about comments. Because as human beings, like, this really affects us. I have been heckled in person many, many times. And I think people outside of stand-up generally are horrified to even imagine the prospect, right? But I think that it can be quite fun. Because in stand-up, like, you can respond directly to that person in front of everyone, and you typically have a microphone in their hand, and they do not. And they're drunker than you, and so you're sharp, right? And it's a little different on YouTube. But I learned stand-up in New York, so I used to really punish people for heckling me. You know, like any sign of dissent, I would just crush them and be brutal about it. And then I started realizing that that's not the smartest way to do it. Because a guy tackled me into a drum set that I was performing in front of once for literally defending myself fair and square, right? And this really happened, and I won. I won the witty battle, but then he kicked my ass. I went into a drum set like, no. I wish I had footage of that. That would be a huge YouTube hit. Come on, Google, invent a time machine for us. But, you know, in stand-up, the audience will eat it up if you're in the right and you can shut a heckler down, you know, in a witty way or whatever. But if you overstep your bounds, if you start zinging audience members just because you thought they said something rude and they're just asking their buddy what they wanted for a drink because they're a human being and they want to go to the bar and get a drink at a comedy show, then you're the jerk, you know? You tell that guy his shirt looks like a Hawaiian shirt that got barfed on by a rainbow. Everybody else in the audience is going to be like, wow, that guy's just sitting there. That's me. I'm sitting over there. And I think we run that same danger doing that in YouTube, you know? And let's see, let me just go through here, sorry. So what I started to do in stand-up was to listen and evaluate what was actually being said. And then let them have their half of the conversation. Just let them talk, and then respond to that actual situation instead of getting angry and lashing out. Now, I typically address the heckler in a respectful way, like nowadays, allow them to fully state what they're trying to say, and 99 times out of 100, they have nothing poignant or accurate to say, right? And so I can generally summarize their comments and turn them back on that person, literally using their own energy against them, right? And that way I never bring anything extra or hateful or unnecessary into the exchange. I just use what they gave me back at them. I like the term like water over a rock, or whatever the hell that term is, as a guiding principle, you know? Be flexible, work around the mean things that people say to you to stop you from creating. Don't let it overheat you and jam up what you're trying to do, because that's really what they're trying to do. You know, and my point here is that the same sort of thing applies to comments. You can sit there and really make somebody look like an idiot if if they're leaving mean comments by trying to burn them in front of everybody, and you can really make them, you can go back and forth and it never ends, and you can run the risk of offending your audience that way by overreacting, or you can evaluate it really quickly to see if it's true at all. And most of the time, it'll just be some offhanded comment that somebody took 15 seconds to write while they were doing their homework and watching American Idol and fighting with their sister. So it's really not worth all of our energy, But if they do say something accurate, I think you should take it upon yourself to do a better job. Find that little nugget of truth. And maybe even respond in a positive way. Like, haha, you're right, Kitty Dog 99. I do say the word too much, and I do look like an idiot for the laugh. I'll work on that. Thanks for the heads up. You say something like that, your other subs are going to be like, oh my God, this guy's so awesome. F you, Kitty Dog 99. You don't have to do it. I'm honestly, I'm being funny and stuff, but I'm dead serious about this stuff. Like, hate shouldn't come from you. It's going to come from people. That's how people are, especially when they're anonymous. But you've got better things to do, you know? Your time and energy is the lifeblood of your channel, so why would you spend it doing that, you know? And just real quick, like, why is it, if you guys ever thought about this, like, why is it so easy to focus on the negative comments? Like, you can get 100, 300 great comments and somebody be like, his shirt's stupid. And that's the one you think about. Like, this isn't funny, and that's the one that's in your head. So I would really encourage you guys to, you know, take a moment to look at all the good ones and really acknowledge it. You know, say, wow, look at all the people who are actually enjoying this stuff, because they are out there. We wouldn't be here if they weren't, you know. They outnumber the haters by a ton usually, right? And they are giving you positive energy. And I hate the way that sounds, and it's not accurate as far as the actual quantity energy works, but it's the best way to describe it. Like, acknowledge that positivity, accept it, feel good about what you're making, and that someone besides you is enjoying it, and let it fuel your tank. You know, because what I do when I look at comments is a technique that, like, I used to play basketball, and like, I do this, you guys can choose, it takes if you want. In basketball, when you're practicing, you always make your last shot. Even if you're tired and exhausted, you always go up and make an easy one. That's what I do with comments, personally. Just you can read, maybe they all hate you, but find one that's positive, close your computer, and walk away from that, you know? Because we're humans, and it'd be foolish not to notice that intaking and focusing on too much negative can put you in a negative place. And that's not where you want to be uploading videos from. You want to be uploading videos where the button says uploads. If you don't know where that is, you can talk to me afterwards. You really should know where that is if you're a YouTube partner by now. Okay, you guys? I'd say in closing, don't let people bring you down. It's so easy to tear something down, as you know, and a lot harder to build something up. And you guys are building your own future on YouTube, and that is an amazing prospect, and I wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to subscribe to Wombatron, that's W-O-M-B-A-T-R-O-N. Click here, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Here's one last thing I'll leave you guys with. I hope you learned something from this. I did not, but no, I'm just kidding. If you guys want to talk to me about anything, any questions, I'll be up here if you need, but I'd say, this is a quote from me. I really like metaphors, and this is probably the worst metaphor you're ever going to hear in your whole life. But I like it, so you're going to have to hear it, because I'm not done yet. Doing comedy for money, for me, is like robbing a bank, okay? But I don't know how much money is in the bag till I get home, but I don't care at that point, because I just robbed a bank! Good luck robbing banks, everybody!